Welcome to the Dump and Chase podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Robillard. Alongside me, as always, I have Nolan Shard and Liam O'Connor. How's it going, boys?
Fired up. Let's get going.
Yeah, we're doing well. Just excited to get going here.
All right. Before we get into anything, just make sure you're following us on all of our socials to stay up to date on our latest episodes and posts. All of our links are under this video and on our YouTube page. You can find our link tree that has all of our stuff. You can find us on Spotify and Apple Music if you prefer to listen to your podcast in the car or at the gym, wherever that might be. All right. Before we get into all the Flames talk and what we have ahead, as we record this episode, it's ahead of the Frozen Frenzy that the NHL is holding right now for all 32 teams. They'll all be in action tonight. But the real concerns are still the Nashville Predators and the Edmonton Oilers, as they've had some not so pretty starts to their season, pretty unexpected as well. For some of us, they were President Trophy winners and even Cup winners. So what's going wrong? Hand it over to you first, Chard.
All right, so starting off in Nashville, just chemistry problems. That's all I think it is. You know, they brought in a lot of big money guys, brought in a lot of shooters. There's not that many pucks to hand around. And I think that's what they just need to figure out in Nashville. It'll be a matter of time before everything clicks, and I think they'll be a top 3 team in the Central. Also, it takes a second for Saros to get going. He had a brief injury at the start. He just needs to find his rhythm. So does his team.
Liam, what are your thoughts?
No. You think they're going to be a top 3 team in the Central?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, I think
they have
they
all
will be.
They have all of the capital. They have all the players. They're a second-line center away from being a competitive hockey team, like a cup contender.
So they're better than Colorado, Dallas, and
Yes.
Winnipeg?
They're definitely better than Colorado.
Yeah, you're right. You know what? I'll give it to you. You're right. Colorado's far from being good now. What happened to them? Anyways, Nashville. They got, honestly, on paper, you look at that team and it's just screams playoff hockey. That's what it does. It just screams it. And obviously they don't have a win yet, so something's not going right. But I just think it's too many drivers. Too many guys that are trying to drive their own line together, so the chemistry is just not clicking. And it will click, I think, at one point. It's going to take some time. It's kind of like Calgary, right? It took a couple of years for the boys to click, and look at us now, 4-0-1. I hope it clicks soon so they can make playoffs. But right now, obviously, it's not looking great. They're not outplaying teams. They're 0-5 playing Boston tonight. I think Boston's going to win that game. I don't see that one going well for them. I think it's got to start on playing the Blackhawks, the Sharks. You got to start low and then bring it up. An all-star. Is their decor really that good? Do you guys think?
Oh, I think it's great. I really like their decor.
What do you like?
Yeah, I think it's pretty solid.
I have my Norris winner on that team, so
Yeah.
Other than Yoshi.
I like that decor.
Other than Yoshi, though, who do we like on that decor?
With Roman Yossi, they got Dante Fabro, he's not that great, but Brady Shea, big signing, $7 million. He's a 20-goal scorer as a defenseman just 2 seasons ago. I really like Carrier, small guy, blocks a ton of shots. Great player. I like their bottom pair with Jeremy Lazone and Luke Shen, 2 just mean guys you don't want to play against. Lazone broke the hit record last year for most hits in the season, and Shen was not that far behind him the year before. Shen led the league in hits the year before that. It's just a mean D pair, and then I don't know. I just think Yossi is great on that D.
It's just a veteran team, man. Like Luke Shen. How do you get more veteran than that?
That's what you need to win a cup.
Yeah,
you get more grizzled than Luke Shen.
If they make the playoffs,
they will.
I have no doubt that they will be a hard team to play against. But I mean, right now it's just not looking good. Especially when I think the West is so competitive right now. Like Utah's in. The Oilers aren't in, but obviously they're going to pick it up at one point here. But I mean, they need to figure it out soon here because
they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, you've seen it before, and
Edmonton.
Yeah.
Are they Edmonton though? Can they go on a 20-game heater?
I don't know if
they did it last year. They did it last year.
Yeah, but can Nashville? They did.
Nashville did that last year.
Went on a hot streak.
They won 16 games in a row last year.
Oh man.
With that, they had a pretty rough roster. That's when they canceled the U2 concert. Yeah,
they canceled the concert and then they went.
That's what Nashville needs to do. They need to plan a U2 concert and cancel it, and then
that pissed
get their season going.
I mean, and as long as they don't continue this skid, I think you can get out of it pretty quick to begin the season. But at a certain point, it's just when does it reach its limit? Because then you don't want to get buried and then have to fight back the whole year. But I think for right now, they're fine. And once they get that first win under their belt, and even if it comes against the Bruins, I think that could stir something up. And you realize teams start picking things up later in the year anyways. That chemistry starts clicking better. Lines are set more. And yeah, I think it's just about getting comfortable and seeing where those things go. All right, off of that, the Oilers. Do you boys think it's kind of the same idea for the Oilers right now? What's going wrong with them? Is it Stuart Skinner and the goaltending? Is it the decor? What do you guys think it is? Chard, I'll go to you first.
I think it's their offensive chemistry is not great right now with bringing in 2 top 6 guys in Jeff Skinner and Arvidsson. And their D-zone structure in general. Not pretty in their own end. Any line. Any of the 4 lines do not look good in their own zone. Neither of the D pairs look good in their own zone. And their goaltending's not great at all. But as you see the last few games that they've won, their offense outpowers the other team, which is what is probably going to happen majority of the year with looking at that team. I mean, you have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. It's pretty much all I need to say. They will be in the playoffs. They will be, I think, atop of the Pacific, and it's just a matter of no time when the Oilers start taking over the league here.
O'Connor?
I don't agree with you. That team is not the team I watched in the playoffs last year, or the team that I watched throughout the whole regular season. I have no idea what Stan Bowman was doing this summer, but for some reason he decided to trade for Jeff Skinner. I mean, good player and all, but you can't be losing guys like Dylan Holloway and Broberg over that. Everyone always gives CeCe a hard time, says that he's bad, but when CeCe was on the D-core, they made it to the Cup. Now that him and Broberg are gone, they got, 1 win in the regular season? Is that what they got now? 1 win?
Yeah.
They've won 2.
Yeah, it doesn't look like the team that I watched last year in the playoffs. And honestly, Stan Bowman, instead of getting Jeff Skinner, good player and all, you got to think about the D-core. First of all, re-sign Broberg. And then, why don't you get another D-man? You already score enough goals. Everyone knows you're not winning cups by outscoring the other team. Defense wins championships. Am I wrong, fellas?
No. But
unless you're the 2022 Colorado Avalanche, defense wins championships.
Yeah, but I mean, that's probably a $13 million decor in Broberg and I don't mean decor. I meant just Broberg and who was he paired with? Nurse. Like that's for what those two are. That's a pretty hefty pay cut.
They'll get someone way cheaper at the deadline.
Yeah.
But listen to this. Darnell Nurse, $9 million a year, right? What would you say? How much would you pay Darnell without Broberg?
4.5.
Not even half that, yeah.
Is he maybe he's worth 4 when he's playing with Broberg, right? So if you can make your $9 million defenseman that much better with a young stud like Philip Broberg, he's 22. I think you got to re-sign him. You can't let him go, especially when you got Leon Draisaitl there for the next 8 years. I'm assuming McDavid's going to re-sign. You need to develop young talent.
I don't know where they're getting that money from.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I don't know where they're going to find that money.
I mean, they found the money to pay Arvidsson, right?
It's 1-year deals.
But Arvidsson is not McDavid.
They found money for Arvidsson and Skinner because they're only 1-year deals. They're going for the cup this season. They couldn't afford Holloway and Broberg because they wanted established veteran presence in their offense.
Yeah.
Yes, those guys do have experience in the playoffs and the Stanley Cup finals, but they didn't win with those people. So why would they come back with the same team? They're obviously trying to change and fill the spots that they missed from last season.
The Game 7. They got the Game 7. Honestly, the way I look at it, if you get to Game 7 in the Stanley Cup final, the best team doesn't win Game 7. That's just a game.
The healthier team wins.
The Oilers win the Stanley Cup if they don't come out flat-footed 3 games in a row.
Yeah.
To start the series, which is what they're trying to get rid of. They're trying to establish a team that comes to play at the start of the series, and they just never came to play. Like if you look at Stuart Skinner's stats at the first 3 games of every series, he's below an 880.
And then the rest of the way.
And then the rest of the way, he's like a 940, 950. Like if you can get that guy, that Stuart Skinner, or those like the rest of the team to that level at the start of the series, they would have won the cup. But they're trying to get rid of that mentality and bring in other guys. They were just 2 younger guys asking for too much money. Yes, they established themselves as players in the playoffs, but would they even be able to hold that spot in the regular season? We don't know. That's why they went out and got Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson. And they're obviously going to add a defenseman or 2 at the deadline. Even sooner, they might add Liljegren from Toronto, and they might add Giordano from free agency. That's what I'm reading.
Giordano's like 41.
He's better than Travis Dermott, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think if they want to add guys at the deadline, first they got to get themselves in a playoff spot.
Well, the deadline's months away.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying, man. It's not the team.
You think the Oilers aren't going to make the playoffs?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying they're not going to go on their little 20-game win streak like they did last year. They're going to get in, but it's going to be a bit, I think. They're going to get in, and they're going to be a really good contender once they're in. Well, but it's not the team they have.
They're only 2-4. They're only 2-4. They're not 2-9-1 like they were last year when everyone said they weren't making the playoffs. They were 2-9-1, and they made this Game 7 of the final.
They have to win. They have to lose 5 straight.
But you said, where are they going to find the money to pay McDavid? Yeah. I don't believe that they would have paid Draisaitl what they paid him, knowing that McDavid wouldn't get more and they wouldn't be able to re-sign him.
They'll be able to re-sign him, but it's going to be really hard.
I was talking about where are they going to find the money to re-sign. I was talking about Broberg and Holloway. First off, Broberg almost getting $5 million for not even playing 50 NHL games is insane.
That is insane.
And Holloway's a good player. He played great with Draisaitl, but he also did get either healthy scratched or put to the 4th line a lot in those playoffs.
Yeah.
But
to be honest,
he got paid 2.5. What, they paid an extra $500K for Jeff Skinner, who's a season or 2 away from scoring 40 plus.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the Broberg deal's paying off.
Oh yeah, Broberg's off to 6 games. I said it was a mistake they let him go, but I don't think he was worth the almost $6 million. He's like what, 4.58?
He doesn't deserve that money, and he wouldn't have got it anywhere else. But and it's easy to say that then, but now you look at it and you're like, well, shit.
But it's a small sample size too. Like, can he keep it up the whole season?
Good point. Yeah. I don't know. I really like watching Dylan Holloway play, and I think when you're re-signing McDavid and Draisaitl for 8 years at least, or what was it, 7 years? You got 7 years at the Cup. Holloway's only getting better.
Yeah, they weren't looking at the future. They're looking at winning the Stanley Cup this season because they know Bouchard's contract's running up this year, and they know McDavid's is running up the year after. Soon they're not going to have enough money for depth, which is what we're seeing in Colorado.
Yeah.
They're going for it this season, and this is their do or die season right now. So
Yeah.
they're going to do whatever it is, no matter the age of the player. They're going to bring him in, and they're going to try and make it happen this year.
Yep. All right, Flames talk. We got Liam with us, our Flames guy, so should be interesting. But what is their goal here? Are they makers or fakers, or are they just off to a hot start? Will this trickle out? What's the concerns? What's going well? Liam, hand it over to you first.
Oh, I want to hear Chard first.
All right, take it away, Chad.
I'm not going to call them makers yet, and I'm not going to call them fakers yet. I think they're still proving what they are. Obviously, looking on paper, you call them fakers for sure. But you watch the way this team plays, just a hard-working team, man. It's really fun watching this team right now. Obviously, I wish well for them. But if they are going to be fakers, I really want them to be dead last in the NHL and get a lottery. But I actually think that Montreal has their first round pick this year from the Monahan trade 2 summers ago.
Yeah,
But,
either it's top.
Yeah, so they really I don't know. It's really hard to tell what they are, but right now I would say their biggest problem is defensive depth. They have a ton of forward depth. Their goaltending right now is hot, like really hot. They're doing really well. But they just need defensive depth. But those guys are performing really well right now, but I just don't think it's going to last.
Yeah, they're performing at what you would want them to. Jonathan Huberdeau leads the team in points, goals, and Rasmus Anderson leads the team in assists. He's probably their biggest defensive piece, and he's also tied for points right now. Those guys you want to see production out of, Connor Zary, Andrew Kuzmenko, like you're getting production from the younger guys and also your vets. Huberdeau's struggled in Calgary. Everyone's seen that. So to get that kind of production out of them is very promising. Vladar leads the Flames goaltending in goals against average and save percentage. His stats aren't beautiful, but that should get better. I don't know what I'd call them either right now. It's too early to tell, I think. I don't know if they're the real deal. I don't think they should be adding either. Maybe for the future they add, maybe like a younger centerman or younger D-man, but I think you just run with what you have and see what comes out of this year. They remind me a lot of the Flyers from last year to begin the season. They came out with no expectations. They're firing on all cylinders. They're a hard team to play against right now. Not a lot of people expected this. They just have fight, and that's what I see in the Flames right now. O'Connor, you're the Flames guy. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with Chard on the you just don't know yet, right? We've only played 5 games into the season. So you think they're fakers then, Chard?
I don't know yet.
You don't know yet.
On paper, you look at their roster, on paper before you start the season, you're like, this is not a great team. But just watch the way they play, man, and you really don't know.
They're making it work.
You don't know.
But you don't think the way they're playing is sustainable?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's so hard to tell.
It's so hard to tell because you look at the Flyers, man. They held it up for most of the season, then they just
spiraled.
Yikes.
When you're a fan, it's
anything. I'm just gonna say yikes.
I think
scary to watch.
I think personally it becomes a matter of how hard you become to play against and teams pick up on it. Later in the year, when teams get more competitive and more isolated and figure out their stuff, like the real true cup contending and playoff teams, then the Flames get washed out a little bit and become hit and miss, like the Flyers did in the latter stages of the season. After the trade deadline and after your break, it's a whole different ball game for every team.
That is true. Yeah, I mean, I've never been one to want to see them tank. The only time I ever wanted them to tank was when they were mathematically out of the playoffs and they couldn't make it. So all I wanted them to do was lose for the draft pick. But even this year, I know a lot of fans want them to tank. I was never one that wanted them to tank. I know pretty much every single analyst that I listened to said that they were going to be bottom 5 in the league, which I thought was ridiculous. I don't even know how you could be an analyst and say that. You look at their first line and you go, you got Kuzmenko, Kadri, and Coronado, and also you got to remember that Sharangovich is sitting in, or Coronado's sitting in Sharangovich's spot. Sharangovich put up 30 goals last year, trade for expiring contract Tyler Toffoli, unreal return. Shout out to you, Craig Cronroy. That was great. I don't even know what their second line would be right now. It looks like Huberdeau, Pospisil, Mantha, or Zary. What do you think's better, Zary, Backlund, Coleman, or Huberdeau, Pospisil, and Mantha?
The Zary line, I think, plays more.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's kind of even. They got a lot of depth. Just no.
Playoff style. Backlund, Coleman, Zary, it's playoff style hockey. The whole team is playing playoff style hockey, and I love it. But it worries me because they're getting injured, and you can see it happening. Honzek's out. Sharangovich is out. They're blocking tons of shots, and I love to see it. I just hope they can keep it up for a full 82 games. The D-core might not look great on paper, but whatever system they're running, obviously it's working. I mean, I love Kevin Ball. When Kevin Ball came in, I was like, okay, he's a defensive defenseman. He was minus last year. He was also on the New Jersey Devils. But, I mean, have you guys watched Kevin Ball this year?
He looks great, dude. He really fits really well with Raz. Raz is also thriving with Kevin Ball.
That top D-core, yeah.
He looks unreal. Uyghur, I think Uyghur just makes Miromanov better. I think without Uyghur, Miromanov is easily a third pairing guy. I mean, he is a third pairing guy, but I think Uyghur makes Miromanov that much better. I don't mind Bean. Bahal's physical. He's playing hard. Barry, I don't like Barry in the lineup right now, but if someone gets injured, that's the guy I want to call up. I absolutely love Ryan Lomberg and what he brings to that team. I've watched a couple of the videos that they post on their YouTube channel, and oh my goodness, does Lomberg fire up the boys?
The chase.
Yeah. I do love Mantha. I love that first game. Gordie Howe hat trick. Fought, goal, and an assist. Beautiful goal. Stood up for the Rune Dog. And then, I mean, Mantha's been great. Huberdeau, what do you guys think of Huberdeau?
Dude, he looks good. Seeing this guy make nice, clean tape-to-tape passes is something we have not seen, and that's what he's known for. We have not seen that yet in a Flames uniform. But it is exciting. Even if we get Huberdeau back to 65, maybe even a little 70 plus this year, it's looking good and it's needed very badly.
My opinion on Huberdeau is what game was it? It was what was the game they played before Seattle? Was that Edmonton?
Chicago.
Okay, yeah, he looked phenomenal in the Chicago game, I thought. I didn't love him in Seattle. Did you guys watch that game?
Yes, that game was kind of dead all around, but there wasn't a ton of energy.
Yeah.
But the boys the boys played Tuesday against the Blackhawks last week, and then they sat all the way to Saturday, which doesn't necessarily happen all the time. But I thought they still played pretty tight hockey.
It wasn't a sexy game, but it was playoff hockey.
It was a point.
And they got a point. I mean, they could have easily scored at the end there.
Yeah, that's just who was it that turned that puck over in front of the net? It was Kadri, right?
Yeah.
Kadri turned the puck over in overtime just for no reason. But
that's
a
Kadri,
point.
Right? Risk and reward. That's what Kadri is, right? Because if he gets through the guy, it's an odd man rush. I mean, obviously, you got to play it safe. You got to be smart. But you're going to see good players in the NHL turning the puck over all the time because they play risk and reward hockey. Wolf looks unreal. The one thing I hope is he can just stay consistent. Vladar got his surgery. I hope that's the reason that he wasn't great last year. I hope he can keep it up. If we can, and I know this sounds like a stretch, but if if Wolf and Vladar can somehow end up like Swayman and Allmark, if somehow that was to happen, that would be a great problem.
That's not happening. I'm going to say that right now.
It's never a problem to have two really good goalies. It's never a problem to not know who your starter is because both your goalies are so good. Coleman looks like he usually does, just role player. Backlund. Pospisil, I'm loving it. I love that fight he got into.
I wanna talk to Liam about a particular guy. Didn't make the opening night lineup, but tonight and last game he is on the first line for the Calgary Flames. Rookie Matt Coronado. I think he looks good. Didn't necessarily like him last game in Seattle, but also they sat most of the week. But he gets the shot tonight again on that first line right side alongside Kadri and Kuzmenko on that first line. Liam, what do you think about Coronado?
I love his effort. I watched him on the fourth line the other day. Scored 2. They weren't pretty, but no pictures in the score sheet. But he's not that kind of player. He's not a fourth line player, right?
No.
If anything, he's a top 6, if not top 9 guy. I don't think he's even top 9. I don't think you would want to put Coronado on your third line. I don't think defensively he's good enough. But that shot is unreal. I'm excited to see him tonight. I do like him there better than I do Honzik. But I also didn't mind Honzik there. I mean, obviously, I want Sharangovich there. But, I mean, I'm excited to see him. What I want to see from Coronado this year is I want him to establish himself on the Flames like Zary has done. That's what I want him to do. Because if he can do that, then we're that much further into this retooling, whatever you want to call it. That's my opinion on him. I like him. He's got a great shot, but he's got to establish himself. Because if he doesn't do it this year, he's got to do it next year. Because then it's going to start looking like Jacob Pellice, who we had to send through waivers to our AHL team. Thank God no one picked him up. I mean, he's top 5 or something in the AHL in points now or something. He definitely should have got. You're not sending that guy through waivers again, and then he's not getting picked up. Like, we got really lucky there. But I just hope Coronado can establish himself as an NHL forward soon here. I mean, I'm going to pump the brakes on him right now, but in the next 2 to 3 years, I want him to be an NHL forward. Obviously, I want him to be an NHL forward this year. But. Yeah.
And I mean, that's what you need from your younger guys if you want to be out of this retool, rebuild, whatever you want to call it, faster. You definitely want to see your younger guys take those steps and excel in their own ways. And if they don't, then that's a concern. That's an issue that teams usually have with development. You have to see your younger guys take a step forward, and if they don't, then it's a bad look, and then fans are worried about it, and press and everyone else is concerned about it, and that puts more pressure on the kids as well. And then you got to balance them between the AHL and the NHL, and then they eventually get to an age where it's just like, okay, well, what do they have? And most of the time this is what they are, and there's not a lot you can do about it. I want to go back to the goalies. Dustin Wolf has played in 2 games, and he has one of the least amount of goals allowed in the league, with 4. I believe, he's 16th. He's tied in the top 10 right now for the least amount of goals allowed. I know that's only 2 games, but 4 goals in 2 games is nothing to shy away from. I think he's been incredible. He shut down the Flyers. He's been playing pretty effectively. Vladar, I don't think will ever be incredible. In 3 games, he's allowed 8 goals. He's definitely bringing the tandem down, I think. But go ahead.
I will say though, 6 of those goals were in that first game against the Vancouver Canucks, and that was all around a pretty bad first. 4 of those goals were in the first period of the season. for the Flames, and that was the worst period that I've seen in a long time. And Flames are all sort of out of whack that game, and they did end up coming back. But those 2 games after, where he beat Edmonton 4-1, and he looked good in that game, and then he only let in 1 goal against the Kraken this weekend, and they ended up letting in 2 goals against the Kraken this weekend, and still got the point. So we mark out that first game, he's around a 940 and a 1.5 goals against average.
Looked unreal in Seattle.
He did.
He looked unreal, and that's the thing. You see those games where Vladar looks unreal. He looks absolutely unreal, and
he
then
almost walked away with that one.
And then he just can't sustain it. So I think this is his year. He's got his surgery. This is his year to actually sustain and prove to people that he's a good goaltender. And I think one thing about it is Dustin Wolf and Vladar, they're competing for the starting position right now, right? And I think that plays a huge factor in them playing so well. Because they obviously they want to play well regardless. But I think that competition is a huge factor in why they're playing. Dustin Wolf has a 944 right now. A 944. I mean, obviously that's not sustainable, but if he can stay above what do you think is a good number?
910.
910.
910.
Even 905 for.
I think the league average is 910 right now.
Yeah. No, I have a question. What do you guys think of Connor Zary's ceiling? And how much do you think he's going to be paid, and how much do you think he should be paid this year?
Chard,
Dylan,
take it away. You want me to go first?
It's all you, bud.
I don't know about pay cuts and that sort of thing. I'm terrible at that. But I really like Zary. I've watched him a while. Watched him going into the draft. He can be consistent at times. I thought he was effective in most of his time before the draft. And even as a Flame, he's been well. He was put into that second line slot, and I think it's been beneficial for him. He hasn't been bad either. I mean, 5 points in 5 games, that's a point per game. And I don't know if he could be a point per game in the NHL ever. But even last year, he put up 34 points in 63 games. That's sustainable. And I think he's only going to get better. His shot is incredible. He's very deceptive. And he is very trigger happy. If he can shoot to the expectation or the way an Owen Tippett does, but actually hit the net more, I think he could have a lot more goals and scoring opportunities and chances and bring his game to that next level. I have no idea what his next contract will be. I'm terrible at projecting that kind of thing. But I think if he has a great year, he could definitely get a well-earned pay cut or a paycheck. Chard, your thoughts?
When I look at a guy like Zary, he plays it the right way. He always has played the right way. He's just been, before last season, he was just never able to point produce at the top level. But he figured that out last year, and he had great line mates. I would call them the babysitters of the team in Backlund and Coleman. Usually when a new guy comes around, he's with those guys. But this line's established himself, and I think Zary's ceiling, he hasn't reached it yet. I don't actually think he's very close. I think he will be around a 70, 75-point guy. And when I look at him, I think of a couple guys. I don't think they necessarily play the same way. Andrei Svechnikov. They both play the right way, but I do think Zary's a little bit more defensively sound than Svechnikov, and Svechnikov's obviously a little bit more offensively gifted. But I think that those two can pretty much round out to be the same kind of player, and even like a guy like Brandon Hagel on Tampa, they both kind of play the right way, both ways of the ice. Hagel's a little bit more of a dick. Zary not so much. But for paycheck, I believe Hagel's getting 6.5 right now from Tampa Bay, which I think will be probably about the lowest Zary will get. And then Svechnikov might be around the 7.58 mark, and that's where I think Zary's ceiling for highest paycheck that he will get. But I think on his next extension, I think Calgary has to get him 8 years. Has to. They can't offer him 2 years, because then he might be gone after that if they haven't figured it out by then. I think they got to go 8 years.
Can't give him a bridge deal.
I think he'll get 8 by either 5.5 or 6.5 within that range, and I think that'll be a steal for Calgary later on.
Yeah, I was kind of in that 5.5 range. Yeah, I don't think he's even sniffed his ceiling. I think he's still got a lot to improve and a lot to grow.
I think so Svechnikov, he's 24 now, and he's also a point a game, so obviously that's a good comparison. I think, yes, Svechnikov's probably a little more physical, and then Zary's probably better on the back end, you're right. I love Zary. That first game when he scored that overtime winner in Vancouver, I was like, holy, time for sophomore Zary, eh? Because last year was his rookie year, and you'd think because he's a rookie, he'd be 20. He's 23. So we're not talking about a 20-year-old doing this. It's a 23-year-old, which is still young, still very young. But that's why I really wonder about his ceiling, because how many 23-year-olds come in and do this well right away? I think the longer you wait to re-sign this guy, the more expensive he's going to get. And you got to get a deal done soon here, because it's not him. It'll be his agent, right?
Yep.
And he's going to look to get the best deal he can. And the sad truth is that a guy like Hagel, he's making what? How much did he say?
I think 6.5.
6.5. And then there's the thing. He's also living in Tampa Bay. The sad truth is you can get guys for younger living in Tampa Bay or in Florida. You got to pay $1 million or $1.5 million extra for guys to come play in Calgary. That's why Draisaitl's making, how much is he making? $14 million a year, and that was a deal. People said that was a deal. I love Zary. I love a young guy that I'm sure is going to be here for the next. I'm sure they'll get a deal done. I'm sure he'll be there for the next decade. I just hope they get it done soon. Yeah, that's about it.
All right. I think that pretty much wraps up this episode. Yeah, it was a great episode. Talked a lot of Flames action there. Yeah, I think that's all for today. Any last words, boys?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Excited to talk Leafs on the next one, bud.
All right, we'll see. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure to check out our socials as always. Make sure to keep your head up and always dump a chase. See you in the next episode.